Right, okay. Before, when you wanted me on this call, you wanted me to talk to how can those who are in the field speak to medical professionals, professionals in natural health, etc. And one of the things that I have found whilst exploring this with sort of different genres of professionals is that are they open to hear about something that's natural? Because one of the biggest things that when we go to a GP or a medical doctor, or we go to a vet, or we go to a surgeon, or people who have been medically trained, they have, it's almost like they have a wall up, and it's their ego. And that ego is all about being able to penetrate that to get your message to them. But the idea being, well, what is your message? What are you going to deliver to this particular person? And the information that you want to give. So when you're looking and thinking about who you want to send that message to and talk to, you really got to know about what they do, what their belief systems are, if you can get that, and where they could use this particular product. And the idea being is that when we do that sort of research before we even go out of our house, that we can create an ability to communicate with them on a different level. Because there's one thing that I think Dr. Gutman would put it perfectly. Somebody comes in and I've had this experience myself going to the GP going, I need a referral to get an ENT because I need my pulse removed. This was about 6-7 years ago. And he just looked at it and went, yeah, right. I go, look at, and I explained all the science. I said, this is what has happened, bang, bang, bang. And next thing he goes, what do you do for a living? And I went, I'm a chiropractor. I know all this stuff. And the mood of him changed completely because he understood that we were talking on the same level. And that was kind of cool to watch from my point of view, because I'm going, I know all this stuff. And you think that I know nothing because I'm just this dude walking going, hey man, GP, give me a referral. So if we have some information about how we can bring to people and give them an information that is, well, irrefutable, because we have something that has so much science behind it. And as Dr. Gutman said, we're going to have some more professional stories, I like to call them, that are coming up, because that is really, really going to be our basis to be able to bring stuff to those professionals, and they can go, oh, I see what you mean. Because we're not bringing something that is pie in the sky, and we're not bringing something that is superfluous. It is something that has concrete evidence. It has testimonials. It has substance that we can all chew and taste and get that satiety in our bodies to say, yes, this stuff works. And that is what's really cool about this stuff. It works, and we know it works every time we put it down our throat. Or when Suzette had said, we put it on our skin, it only goes through our skin. I actually refute that, because when we have ultraviolet light that hits our skin, that then brings the blood to our skin and expands it through nitric oxide. And nitric oxide allows the DHA, which is in the cell, if we're eating, say, fish oils and things of this nature, or you're taking our fish oil supplement, which hopefully you are putting in the refrigerator to stabilize it so it doesn't oxidize because of heat, then you are then creating a bed that the sunlight can then grab that energy, put it on the DHA and fire it into our mitochondria, because this is where the whole process comes from. And this is where you can start doing some really cool yakety-dak with all these people, is the fact that we are looking at how we can have functional, solid mitochondrial function. Mitochondria is the engine in our cells. We are made of billions of cells, and we would have a mitochondria in that cell to run it. If you are a brain cell or a heart cell, you may have 3,000 to 3,600 mitochondrial cells in one cell of a neuron, one cell of a heart cell. Now you think about how much engines create an exhaust in a car. And then you then take that analogy and you take it and you put it in a cell, and you think about how much exhaust that our engines create inside the cell. What we call that is oxidative stress. Now, oxidative stress is what is slowly killing us, basically. So basically, when we want to be able to maximize our cell health, we need to have the ability to mitigate, to a certain extent, this oxidative stress, because this oxidative stress in the form of a hydroxy radical, which is an OH dot, is the one that we do not have any physiological system to negate. There are two others that we have, and we can negate those. So oxidative stress and glutathione are partners in being able to create a harmony in something called the redox potential. The redox potential is something that then you can then take to your dentist, to your GP, MD over there. Or you could take it to your vet, or you could take it to a personal trainer. Now, here's a new one that you guys can all make you think of. Why don't you take it to a telecommunications engineer? And you'd be going, well, what the hell? Why am I going to go to a telecommunications engineer or go to a shop that sells this stuff? And I want to buy something for this. I want to put a new, one of those chips inside so you can move the phones, whatever. The idea being is that this stuff, everyday life that we're using this, the communications that I'm using now through this screen that I'm looking at. I'm not wearing my red colored glasses because it's too light out. I'm getting a lot of the sunset coming into my house, and I want that light to hit me as much as possible. If I put these on, this will then diminish the light that will actually affect my physiology. And this is this type of stuff that you can then look at how glutathione helps in our body and how we can take that information to all these different professionals and say, hang on, we have got something that actually has been medically proven to raise glutathione. It's listed in the Canadian version of drugs called the Compendium of Pharmaceuticals and Specialties. And in the United States of America, it's listed in the physician's desk reference. These are really two powerful things. Over here we have something called the British National Formula and MIMS. And it used to be, I think, very back when we had the product initiated into this country, that the company was entertaining, looking at trying to get a MIMS listing. But I don't know where that is. Suffice to say is that we need to look at how these things happen and how that we can create an environment where we can go and talk to people. So what I wanted to just double do is to go back and say, yes, we can go and talk to GPs, medical people, but they have to be open to a natural part of it. Now, Dr. Jimmy Gutman was one of those particular persons, and I met him several times up in Montreal, smashing bloke and absolutely 100% real. And this is what I like about everybody who's in this company. We are 100% with each other, for each other, and we have an amazing leader now. We have some really cool people who can give us information, and we're helping each other. Now, the other thing that I really find fascinating with this is where we can take this product in the, in terms of my case, chiropractors, because I'm a chiropractor, so I can take it to other chiropractors and talk to them about it, because we're based in natural science. We look at how we can then affect the body in the most natural way and protect us from modern living. And this, what I'm looking at now, that you're looking at me now, and all this stuff is natural. Now you notice that my screen is red on this. There's a specific purpose to that. It's because the light that's then generated from this and my wonderful iMac I'm looking at now, I haven't got the red screen on there because I want to see everybody the way they are and not red. But the idea being I have that red to protect my physiology. What's going to protect my physiology from this crap? Or my iPad? Or my PC? It's this stuff. Why? Why does this stuff, not this stuff, create a change in our physiology to be able to say we have the ability to counteract modern living? Whether this is on or off, it doesn't matter. I'm standing in my kitchen. Welcome to my kitchen, everybody. But the thing is, I've got Wi-Fi throwing through me at absolutely my neighbor's Wi-Fi, my Wi-Fi, the little wee tower that's out there probably projecting 4G through my body at the same time. We are all subject to that. And then we have, particularly women, put this in their back pocket. I can't understand why. Because when you put this in your back pocket, then this still sends a signal to a tower, and that tower sends a signal back saying, I'm here. What is going to protect your body from the microwave information that this is sending back and forth? What is going to protect you if you're in a high density population in the United States, Mexico, wherever we are, that's going to be able to create a protection against this stuff, particularly when we hit 5G. Don't want to go there, big subject. It's this. And I want to do a demonstration. I'm going to ask my beautiful other half to come in. And I want to do a demonstration because there's a branch of chiropractic that was developed by a guy named George Goodhart. And he developed something called kinesiology, or applied kinesiology we use over here because we're able to diagnose using kinesiology. If you're not familiar with the kinesiology from a point of view from a chiropractor or an osteopath or medical doctors, some use it in Germany, which I hope will go soon as a market. It's used by an amazing amount of dentists because of the toxicity rate of what mercury can do. Now we can go out and we can get tests for mercury. We can go, if you're in the United States and Canada and Mexico, you've got a great place in Colorado, I think it is, called Quicksilver Labs. And they do a tri test for mercury. That means that you're looking at mercury from the elemental point of view, the inorganic, and you're doing the methyl mercury. So you're doing 3 levels of mercury, which we're all exposed to, particularly if you've got those metal things in your mouth called amalgam fillings. You're going to be poisoned by that mercury. What gets rid of mercury? Glutathione. Then we can, if you wanted to, you can go back and talk to your professional about if you wanted to look at the efficacy of this product, then we can do tests for glutathione peroxidase, right? Now, the interesting thing about glutathione peroxidase is that it's selenium dependent. So eat your Brazil nuts, or I think you've got selenium in your multivitamin over there, and maybe extra sharp, Keith, I don't know. I know that's your favorite product. But the other thing would be is that you want to look at these things. Glutathione S-transferase, and then you can look at glutathione nitrogenase, which is basically looking at nitric oxide and glutathione for the destruction of DHA within the cell, etc. So these are things that you can go, because there are tests and labs that will do this, that you can tell to or explain or maybe share, or maybe they already know with your professional that you want to go approach to. But it's also good for vets. Now, I recently talked to a vet about glutathione. Do they use it for animal recoveries in anything? No. Why? Because they're medically trained. They're just like an MD, and if they're not open, it's hard to break that bond. But you will find that there are some vets out there that will be able to be open to hear that message. So look for that. So I want to get back to where else you can take this product and approach to it, and I want to look at the telecommunications engineers, etc., and how that we need to protect ourselves from this stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in Miriam here. That's not how, if you've heard her about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, a while ago. Anyways, we're going to use kinesiology, and kinesiology is using muscle testing. And we're going to muscle test this and her phone, which is an Android phone. I'm an Apple guy. And we're going to use Immunical, and we're going to use different other proteins that are on the market and see if this has an effect on her physiology. We rehearsed this once, and that was it, and it was positive. But with every muscle test, some things can go wrong, because we just had our dinner and she's had a glass of wine, and that means that that wine may change things, or that food may change things. But we'll go with it. Seems to be on the fly, cold, which is really great, and whatever comes up. So come closer so everybody can see you. Right. So what I'm going to do is just do a muscle test on the deltoid, which is this muscle right here in the shoulder. That's the deltoid. And the deltoid can be switched off by pressing right here where the crease of the elbow, right? So if I ask her to push up, please, and I'm matching her resistance, I'm getting strong. But if I wiggle this here, push up, it switches off the muscle. There are muscles in her body we can switch off. So why is this important? If I get her to put my iPhone, and I'm not even pressing on it, and just put it on her body, which means the focus of that beam is going through her body. Push up now. And she can't.
Yeah.
But if I do this, put on Immunical Platinum, right? Push up. I can't budge her, right? So now I'm going to find out, does she react to the Immunical Platinum? I'm going to wiggle here, push up. No, she doesn't. Let's try normal Immunical. Put that there, put the phone there, the beam's going through her, push up. Push up. She doesn't react to that. So that means that we know categorically from a physiological point of view, in a muscle test, that that is helping. Let's try a different protein. That's this one here. So here in the UK, it's called, well, it doesn't matter what it's called. It's a whey protein with a lot of rubbish in it, right? We're going to test her again with the phone on here. Push up. She can't do it. Because this is not protecting our body in terms of its vitality. This stuff here, or this product here, or this product here, are dead. They're not alive. Suzette coined it perfectly. This stuff in every sachet, or you call it over there a pouch, we call it sachet over here, is alive. It has vitality. It is something that you can muscle test with almost anything. You can muscle test this with a negative thought. You can muscle test this with a glass of wine. You can muscle test this with a phone, with somebody who's got an amalgam filling in their mouth. You can muscle test this with somebody who's got a disease. You put your hand on the area of the body and test it and find out. So when you go to approach a chiropractor, a kinesiologist, or a person who is open to hear a message, this product has all the weight that we require behind it. There's no question. There's no question. But if we look at what it can do, let's say we want to look at how it affects the mitochondria, which is where it's all happening, because this is where we get our oxidative stress. This is where it's blowing us apart with all of this stuff here. That's her phone here. The mitochondria and this stuff produces something called oxidative stress. And oxidative stress in electromagnetic fields focuses on, this particular paper, the reproductive system. So that tells us categorically that something's going on and creating a mismatch in our physiology. So when you see women who's always walking around with these things in their back pocket, you need to tell them to get it out, take it and put it somewhere else, and get on Immunical, because that's going to protect their eggs. What is the main thing that we can take home from all of this? Mitochondria only comes from our mother. That is it. The mitochondria is greatly affected by modern day living. What's going to protect us? Glutathione, produced every time we take it, or as Keith says, every time, given time, when we take it. This is going to help us when we start going through the modern age, and how this is going to age us, how this is going to protect us. There's one thing I want to say, is that the other thing that's the missing ingredient in this is we have to get sunshine. Sun creates an amazing physiological phenomenon in our body that will give us the vitality for life and protection as well, because it activates an ingredient within the glutathione tripeptide that creates this whole thing. So we need to get in the sun. We need to get our eyes in the sun. If we don't have our eyes in the sun, we're looking at a screen, get some blue blocking glasses. Get these on, or have a program on your system called F-Flux. There's another one, they're out there, and that can take away the blue light that's creating this problem and creating disharmony within our physiological role in our mitochondria. Our mitochondria is dying because of this stuff, and we need to be able to protect it as much as possible because of the increase in the oxidative stress that it is giving us. And this, my friends, is going to be a wonderful, wonderful friend to tell people about that. So if you get sun in your house, then you'll be good. If you don't have sun in your house, then you're going to have a doctor of medicine to talk to rather than a natural guy. So that's all I have to say. Keith and John, I could probably go on, but I probably used up my time. Sorry.
Great. Well,